All right, welcome aboard, everyone. Charles Moscowitz, welcome to the program. A triumphal time as we count down the days, the hours, the minutes to the inauguration of Donald J. Trump, which is an earth shattering event politically, spiritually, economically, and in every other way.
You're
Michael
right.
D. Shore is with us. Mike, first of all, give us a quick update on what's going on in California right now.
Well, one of the things that's helping is the winds are dying down.
Yeah,
Um, and as we said last time, if any good comes out of this at all, it's going to be the complete dismantling of this corrupt Democratic machine that's been in total control here. And you're hearing it from the most unlikely places. You know, the big blue enclaves of Palisades, Malibu, Brentwood,
yeah.
etc. Pasadena, for that matter. So, yeah, things are improving, but I'll tell you how it's affecting everything. There's been reports of outrageous price gouging already on
Right.
rental properties, which I think they're going to prosecute some of these people. Um, we are closing on a new property, and I'm telling you, it's the first time in my life that I've been asked by the bank, uh, is there any fire damage to your house? Thank God, no.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
can you imagine getting fire insurance out here is bad enough? Thank God we got it before the fire started for the new place.
Now,
So,
has anybody learned anything about improving fire prevention on properties? I mean, is there, methodologies? It's like after a catastrophe like this, there's often lessons learned.
yeah, I think that's true. And the lesson learned, beyond the obvious stuff of cutting back brush, not cutting the budget of the fire department,
Right.
is that the political system has been a mess for 40, 50 years or more. And as I told people, my friends, it's very easy to be up on a hill in Palisades and talk about how you needn't call out the National Guard for BLM and Antifa. But I want to tell you, they were very happy to have the National Guard patrolling Palisades. And there were a number of well-heeled individuals that hired $2,000 per hour private fire crews
Hmm.
to take care of their house. So, yeah,
Yeah, and
you'd
I
be
also I
amazed.
understand that the fire department was late in terms of responding to the Palisades fire. Something like I think it was like 7 or 8 hours after they should have responded. And if they had responded in a timely manner, it could have prevented a lot. It could have contained that
Absolutely.
fire.
And of course, if the reservoir were full,
Right.
that would have helped. It turns out that reservoir had been empty since 2009.
That's strange. And
So,
also, the three lesbians who run the fire department, their main focus was DEI,
yeah,
and they didn't have any background in fire handling. I mean, they were Harvard graduates, big deal. I mean, so
yeah,
they should go write books about
yeah,
diversity. It's
yeah.
not like they actually know something about what they were doing. So I hope that people in
It was
California are
pathetic.
becoming aware of that.
And as we said on the last show, go ahead and make the entire city government of Los Angeles all lesbians, but try to find some who are at least qualified in what they do.
Exactly. Let it be. I mean, I think this came up when Hegseth was grilled in Congress. He goes, "I'm not against women in the front lines. I just want to make sure that the standards are equally high, and that if a woman can meet those standards, I don't care who they are. We want to have people who can do this job of, in a fighting situation." So I think that came across, and I think that people are realizing that this idea of promoting people based on such, you know, secondary, even if not irrelevant issues, there's a price to be paid for that, and unfortunately, California is paying it now.
Well, it's definitely paying it, but as happy as I am to see people come over from these areas who got red pilled, you have to ask yourself, it's sort of like Dershowitz. Dershowitz got red pilled at the age of what, 83? Okay, good for you, Alan. But where the hell were you for all those years?
No, I know. Although Dershowitz actually has often clashed with the left in that his big deal is free speech and civil liberties. So he doesn't seem to care left, right, or center on that. And he's been criticized for that over a long period of time. So the political situation is very promising.
Yes.
No matter what they do, I think that the left is not going to change. They're in the same rage state, and they'll probably remain there for the rest of their lives and for the next 4 years. They're going to try to ignore the inauguration, pretend, oh well, it's Martin Luther King Day, and do other things. But it's not going to work because it's going to happen at 12 noon on Monday. No matter what they try to do, this could be their Nakba, if you get my drift.
Yeah.
It's really a launching. And Trump this time around, he's doing it very differently. He didn't wait to do the transition for the GSA to kick in with funds, and that would have brought him right up to a week or two before inauguration. He immediately set up his own transition group. He raised money from private donors and his own money, and he started to hire thousands of people, and he began the process. So no matter what they do, they're going to hit the ground running. Their attack on Hegseth and even on Pam Bondi was really pathetic and low.
Oh, the Pam Bondi thing was ridiculous. Did you see when Mazie Hirono started her questioning by asking Pam Bondi if she's ever been convicted of sexual assault?
Oh, today they asked Burgum. He's not even a controversial appointee. What's his attitude about sexual assault? It's almost like they've got some kind of a weird computer chip embedded in the back of their skulls. They're like a bunch of rabbits. And it was so nasty against Hegseth and the idea of that Kane from what a weaselly looking guy from Virginia bringing up Hegseth's 7-year-old daughter, and just really, they had nothing to say about military policy or anything of substance. It was all it was like reading a copy of the National Enquirer. We had to learn about his private life. Look, the man is a military, soldier on the front lines for 2 terms of duty. Generally speaking, that type of situation can lead to things like drunkenness and adultery. Let's face it. And, for them to rack him over the coals, or try to, he was brilliant.
Well, the other thing that came out is this guy, I forget his name, you probably know, Darren something, a big cartoonist for the Washington Post.
Yes.
Oh, you're
what was it? Pedophilia?
Yeah. Pedophile. He's arrested. But here's the point. Many of his cartoons were lurid sexual reference cartoons applied mostly to Trump. And sure enough, the guy's a pedophile. Now you're looking into Tim Kaine, and the story coming out by Gino's show said that he has on very, very good source that Tim Kaine had 3 nephews spend the night with him in a hotel when he was on some trip.
Yeah.
Tim Kaine is creepy. When I was living in Virginia, I just didn't like, you'd see his face.
He looks like a rat. And it was very unpleasant. And another one, not to get...
He was Hillary's running mate, my friend. You remember that?
I know he was. Yeah. And while we're on the subject, not to get specific, but Adam Schiff is not exactly, pure as the driven snow. Let's just put it that way. No. So, and I think that it's all falling apart because Hegseth showed a strong kind of military bearing, and he just was very cool, as in people are like shrieking at him. It was just so ugly and screaming at him. Elizabeth Warren, it was disgraceful. She's like, Are you going to take a job in the military corporations after you leave? Never mind the fact that Lloyd Austin was head of Raytheon.
Yeah.
I mean, after he left the military, I mean, she didn't seem to ask that. And it was really tacky. I just don't think they landed anything on him. I think that it showed they're trying to set the template for how they're going to handle all the Trump people. Maybe they smelled blood because of Matt Gaetz, which he probably should not have left. But nevertheless, that's what they're going to do. I can only imagine what they're going to say about Kennedy, but I don't think it's working. I mean, that's all they have.
Yeah, well, here's remember how this is all tied in with one of our favorite cliches, the model UN. All right.
Yes.
Because, and you know where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
If your entire, here they go. You know what? Can I switch off?
Yeah.
For now.
Sure.
Okay. See you later.
All right. No problem. So we're talking here, and by the way, we could take calls 508-637-5596, 508-637-5596. I wonder if I should go live on TikTok. I don't know if they're going to be around much longer, and it might be too late for them to shut me down. But I do take calls live like I would with any radio show, and you can do that. Let me just see what's happening on TikTok. Yeah, we're good on TikTok.
Still on?
Yeah, we're still on. I just decided I'm going to go live on TikTok while they're still running.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay, we're live on TikTok. So I don't think that it's working. I think that Pam Bondi stood up very well in questioning about whether or not the election was legitimate of 2020. Perfectly she didn't fold under that, which means that door is going to be opened, and we're going to get investigations on that. I think that we're going to finally put an end to the gaslighting that we've had to deal with for 4 years. 60% of Republicans do believe the election was stolen. They want to have like some kind of a swearing on the Bible. Oh, I don't believe it was stolen. That ain't happening because
it's not happening. And why does everybody forget? How many votes did Trump get? You probably know what 75
million.
All right. So would you explain to me how Joe Biden got 81 million votes? Okay. And here's the thing, Chuck, we've been talking about this forever. Jumping the shark. All right. If you're going to cheat, don't make it so damn obvious. All right.
Well, right after the election, there was all this talk briefly amongst some Democrats. How could it be that Harris did not get this 81 million? What happened to 15 million voters? But you notice that they got awfully quiet about that after a while. They no longer bring it up because obviously those 15 million voters were fake. Anyway, I'm on YouTube today, so we have to still be careful.
Okay. Well,
Biden's still in office, so this is still a verboten subject.
Well, let's go back to the Model UN analogy. I think what's happening and why you see this anger of these people coupled with some of the lunatics in California, while it's all climate change, is because if you truly, truly believe in the Model UN, concept that whatever you learned in the 6th grade, 7th grade is the way life is, and you're finding it ain't like that, your head's going to explode if you want to keep believing it. And the chickens are coming home to roost on that. There's no question about it. How in the world does climate change affect the ignition point of wood? It's still over 400 degrees. Last time I checked, it's not quite that warm out there yet.
No, and even if climate change did have anything to do with it, that's not relevant. The fact is that government screwed up. They could have stopped or contained the fire, and they didn't do it. And they didn't do it because of their focus on things other than fire safety and doing their jobs. And I think that is going to possibly turn California red. People are really, we are.
It's a good possibility, yeah.
I predict that once Trump is in, we're going to see a major shift. They're dwindling in support. I predict that we're going to have probably a half a dozen representatives switch parties. I think you might have even a couple of senators like Fetterman apparently switch parties. You're going to have this dwindling the same lies coming out of the media. Like, I mean, Lester Holt, even yesterday, Jack Smith's report, which is just his opinions. There's no basis that he still is talking about how Trump tried to steal the 2020 election. Trump tried to steal it, they think. This is part of their faith, but it's not flying. The American people didn't buy it. The question is, who tried to steal the election? Was it Trump, or was it the deep state and the Democrats and the Uniparty? And yet they continue to flat out lie. And I think that's why they've jumped the shark. I think that the mainstream media it has really taken a major hit. People don't look to it anymore. They don't look to it anyways. I mean, the media has changed. Media philosopher Marshall McLuhan predicted this back in the 60s, that basically the media would be, I just got a warning from TikTok. I don't know. What did I say? Was it Marshall McLuhan? They still have me on. I don't know. But he made the point that media, everything is media. I mean, he wasn't right about that, but he did point out that as media changes, once you have a new media, the old media falls apart, becomes much more kind of irrelevant, especially if it's a cooler media, not a hot media.
Yeah.
And that hot media is the major networks, because you just sit there like a receptacle and they tell you everything. Whereas the internet is a cooler media because you can interact with it and you can post things and you can talk back. And that's the new paradigm. So they're losing ground anyway. But on top of it, all the lies and all the gaslighting, starting with the pandemic, I think that's caught up with them. They no longer have the influence. It's obvious. They went through 4 months of attacking Trump, and it didn't work. It didn't even with all this censorship, it didn't work. And so now we're entering into an age of Trump, which is going to have worldwide ramifications. Already you see Sweden, Denmark, they're starting to deport people. They're starting to revoke citizenship for people who emigrated there under false pretenses. This is going to spread, and people are going to be required to go home, go back to their countries. There's going to be a tightening of this kind of unfettered and frankly illegal immigration.
Right.
The days of Merkel are over, and the days of whoever was running the Biden show is over.
Okay, but can you explain to me why these policies have to go into effect, have to turn into an unmitigated disaster, and then the light bulb goes off? I mean, who could have predicted that
they were deliberate disasters? I mean, this is a, they don't recognize national sovereignty. They don't recognize borders. They want to have a world order where nations become nothing more than names and provinces of some kind of an amorphous, unelected, international, quote unquote, scientific, illuminated ruling class. And it ain't working for them.
Well, it's not working for them.
Waking up all over the world.
Coming out of, in the wake of the fires, and people having to rebuild, they are trying to suggest to people, you could get permits quicker if you want to rebuild as a higher density structure.
Okay.
Your old 15-minute city, that's not going to fly in Palisades or Malibu. I think that what's going to happen, Chuck? These people have to die off or what before these absurd ideas just disappear?
They're not going to go anywhere. But the point is, they've been defeated, and they still don't recognize it, and they're just going to be put in remission. They're not going to stop Trump's cabinet. They're not going to stop RFK from looking at seed oil and the other things that have made everybody fat and given everyone heart disease. They're going to, it's coming. This is a new time. It's a time of honesty. We're going to have people who actually care about the welfare of the country. Bessent's testimony, the Treasury Secretary, they're talking about this idea of an external revenue service. It's brilliant. It's revolutionary. It goes back to the way this country raised revenue before the income tax was implemented. And Trump has been very articulate about it. He's like, instead of burdening the American people with all these taxes so that they have to support everything. Why not put a charge on foreign investors and foreign importers and foreigners coming into the country? This country is a golden goose. I mean, they should pay a fee for that. So this is how the country raised revenue all the way up to, the World War I period. Some of the greatest presidents were high tariff presidents, including Lincoln and including FDR, by the way.
Yeah.
And this is
everybody wants to forget that part of it.
Exactly. No, he was very tight on imports, and it helped the
He
economy.
wasn't real big on immigration either.
Right,
Okay.
that's right. And neither was Eisenhower with Operation Wetback.
Yeah.
So the point is that it's all coming down the pike, and it's really, I think we're here. I think it's too late for them to stop Trump. They can't stop him now. There were rumors that there was a national security issue going on. It hasn't materialized. God forbid it does. But putting that aside, it's all coming down on Monday at 12 noon, no matter what they do. Yeah. So I'm very excited about
all these little silly things of certain figures are not going to attend the inauguration.
Oh, who cares?
Yeah, who cares?
I mean, by the way, the important people actually are attending it. I mean, the Clintons are going to be there. Obama will be there.
Big Mike is not going to be there.
Big Mike won't be there, no. But it's really a time when the country is going to realign, and it's just they ain't going to stop it. It's just it's happening, and I like the way they try to quiz Pam Bondi about, are you going to prosecute Liz Cheney, and are you going to? And her answers were so brilliant. She goes, "Look, you're a lawyer. You know that I can't comment on a case I haven't seen the file for yet. You have to look at the file and decide whether or not there's criminality there before you make even a statement about something like that." She seems like a very serious person, and I think that she is going to look at those files. And if they do go after these people, it's going to be because they actually do have real crimes, not the kind of crimes that they made up to go after Trump and the J6 protesters. This is real stuff. So I hope that they do go after all of them. That would be a beautiful thing. That's called justice. They spoke for years. Oh, no one is above the law. Well, guess what? The shoe is going to be on the other foot now. So we'll see. You're right. No one is going to be above the law.
Do you think there are going to be any high-profile defections of Democrats to Team R?
Absolutely. Already has been. Elon Musk, he's a former Democrat. Kennedy. Yeah, I think that you're going to see a lot of people. Zuckerberg even. I don't know if I trust him.
Okay, but I mean actual politicians.
Politicians, yes, I do. I do think that you're going to have, once Trump's in and they see where the wind is blowing and they see that things are getting interesting, you're going to have at least a half a dozen Dems switch parties in the House, I think, and maybe one or two in the Senate, maybe on the state level. I don't know. I do think there will be. Yeah, I mean, because they want to get reelected. They're politicians, and they'll see that you can do it without, that the left doesn't have the kind of teeth it once had, where they can really rip at someone. What are they going to do? They'll put Rachel Maddow on, and she's going to be doing like full time. And what they're doing, it's like the National Enquirer. They're going to attack. Oh, this person cheated on his wife, and this is that. It's just so despicable and so low. They have nothing to say about how to govern. They've got nothing to say about their political philosophy. Instead, they're going to go to the lowest, and people aren't interested. And no one cares. It's personal matters.
Well, especially these days, with all the crap that's come out, do you really care, as you say, that Senator so-and-so is cheating on his wife?
Oh, my God. And, I thought that was Mark Wine Mullen. He's a congressman. He nailed it when he said, listen, how many of you senators and congressmen have come into the House drunk, like at night to cast a vote? You have. I've seen it. And how many of you guys have cheated on your wives? I mean, really? They want to go there?
Yeah.
I mean, it's, so I think that people see.
No, they're getting to the bottom of the barrel of the playbook. It isn't working.
No.
And the hubris was unbelievable. All right. They thought that they could just trot out Kamala Harris, and in 100 days she would defeat Trump. They weren't
I think,
stupid in that sense. They knew she was an empty suit.
yeah, but they did believe they could pull her over the line.
Yeah.
And I think they meant it. And they still think that they're going to use the same playbook to attack Trump. I don't know what else they have. They've tried to kill him. They've tried to arrest him. They've tried to put him in prison. They've tried to bankrupt him. They've raided his wife's underwear drawer with SWAT teams. What else can they do? It's
That's the
over.
point. They don't know anything else. I mean, for those of a certain age watching the show, you remember a coach from Ohio State named Woody Hayes.
Yeah.
He had ways to win games back in the day, but the game of football, college football, was changing. And he didn't change. And he got more and more frustrated. And then he finally attacked an opposing player on the sidelines, and it was finally fired. The point is, he didn't change. He didn't adapt. He took out that old playbook from 1950, and it stopped working. Okay.
Yes. That's a good analogy, because I think that's where they're heading. Yeah. As things tighten up and as they continue to become more irrelevant, they're going to have a final miserable implosion of some sort. And I don't know what it's going to be, but
it's going to be the blame game. Okay. They're going to go after each other. All right. You're seeing that with the fires, that the mayor goes after the fire chief, and the fire chief's after some underlings, and the water department, and what it's so.
Maybe we could have them all. We could put them all in some room somewhere and let them just duke it out.
Let them fight it out.
And sort of like a bunch of cockroaches on the bottom of a barrel. I'm sorry to be nasty, but
no, but that's I'm afraid what has to happen, and it's just all positive. I'll tell you, as you say, 12 o'clock, January 20th.
Hallelujah.
Yeah. And
it's going to be a beautiful
I'm sure that in your deep blue enclave out there, you've noticed even the bluest of the blue people secretly feeling a lot better.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I spoke with a blue person this morning about this at length. And she was like, yeah, it's going to be interesting. She's kind of like not on, not this. If I talked to her a year ago, it would have been a different story. Even Governor Healy here, they're talking about left wing. She said that she said, I'm going to be on board with the Trump administration in terms of apprehending illegal alien criminals. And the day after she said this, the Boston Globe attacked her with an old story that they were saving. The Globe. This is how the Globe does it. This is how the left does it. It didn't matter. I mean, people are with her. If she wants to do that, she can change. She doesn't want to have a failure for an administration. Even if she's totally DEI.
Is the Globe going to change because LA Times is trying to get more conservative to stay alive? And
I don't know. I don't think so. The Globe is about as left as they get. Yeah. Has been going way back to the Taylors, who the family this old Yankee family that ran the Globe for 40 years. They've always played the same game. I don't think that look, none of these people have the influence that they once had. They thought they'd have influence because it would become like a one newspaper town, but it didn't really work. They're shrinking. I don't know how they stay in business. I mean, they had to sell their magnificent headquarters in Dorchester. It's no longer there. It's become.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they abandoned it. It's now being refitted as sort of a mall of some sort for business, and they just have a downtown office. They share a printing plant with their rival, the Boston Herald. They're no longer. They've shrunk literally, physically. The Globe is literally. It's like, zzz, zzz, it's like they're not. They laid off a lot of their very important journalists. They no longer have a foreign desk. They basically subcontract with Phil Balboni, who runs this foreign, journalist outfit. And they no longer, as much as I despise the Globe, I used to read it every day because at least I got a sense of what people in Boston were thinking. You no longer get that from the Globe. It's totally lost its way. Now I don't know what's going to happen in the long run, but it's owned by Henry, who owns the Boston Red Sox, the multi-billionaire. I don't know. I mean, he's like a deep pocket kind of a guy. I don't know what's going to happen to it. Who knows? They've lost their way.
So the point is they're not showing any effort to try to.
No, it's just as bad as ever. It's almost like, as I said earlier, these are people who have a computer chip implanted in the back of their skulls. They're like automatons. The hologram will never be broken. They live in some kind of a virtual reality. They are not recognizing what's going on, and yet the rest of us are moving on. We're moving forward, and they're going to be relegated to the sewers of history. They're going to be pushed aside. Oop, that one just got me removed. Yeah, look, TikTok.
How bad was that though?
I don't know. What did I say? The sewers of history?
Yeah.
I don't care. I got my point across.
Can you believe that kind of censorship? If you would have told people in the 1950s and 60s that this would be going on, there'd be some algorithm listening to everything you say. What a joke.
I don't know if it's going to come to an end, but it's not, it didn't work. Let's just put it that way. In spite of their censorship, their removal of thousands of accounts. I mean, it started really in 2018. It was before Trump, even before the pandemic. It didn't work. Trump was reelected. It just didn't happen. They were not able to suppress. They got rid of Parler. Now it looks like they're getting rid of TikTok. Not that they need to, but it still ain't going to work. They're not going to be able to censor opinion in this country. There are too many alternatives. There are too many other ways to get the word out.
I think the last holdout for all this DEI stuff is going to be Google.
Google is the biggest offender.
Doubling down on stuff.
But yeah.
Rumble is doing very well. And just about every major creator is on Rumble also. And is, I think, waiting for the day that he gets kicked off YouTube. And you know what? That's fine. Because the big creators on YouTube, this stuff is a joke. I mean,
basically, it's a good place to go if you want to learn how to bake an apple pie.
Yeah.
It's not anything serious, and they're going to ultimately lose ground. I mean, look, Steve Bannon has the biggest online program in the world, and I think he has something like 100 million hits. I mean, it's huge, and he's not on YouTube. He's not on Google. He was kicked off of those. He doesn't even have Twitter or any of it. But so the point is, it can be done, and it is being done. They can't stop it. Even if you don't have the same reach, you can still get your message out. You can still have an impact. And they're not going to win, not in this country. And I don't think elsewhere either.
That's the best news of all. They're not going to win. And on Monday, it's officially all going to change.
It's all over. It's all over for them. Like the late Jerry Williams used to say, it's all over. He was great. I view him as a mentor. Great.
I'm trying to find tapes on him.
You can't. He was just didn't keep it. I mean, unfortunately, he's a brilliant talk show host. He could get on, no guests. He would just swing open the phone lines and he would talk for 6 hours, and it was brilliant. And he was he was hilarious. He had an incredible sense of humor, and toward the end, he was bringing on comedians, and they were hilarious, like Steve Sweeney and others. And he was so good that you literally had to stop everything to listen. I mean, he was a master at conversation. I mean, the way he went after Michael Dukakis was gold. I mean, it was so incredible. I mean, there's no one like that anymore. I mean, and he sometimes would get onto a silly topic, that wasn't all that important, and he would run at it like a dog chasing a meat truck, and he would do it for day after day. So, but nevertheless, I mean, he was just an amazing host. I wish he could have seen this. I wish he could have seen Trump. I mean, he passed away in I think 2006, and I actually got him. He was kicked off the air because his criticism of the Big Dig in Boston, and exposing some of the corruption.
Yeah,
that was
nothing to criticize there. Originally budgeted at $2 billion, ended up costing $20 billion. No problem there.
Right? No. I mean, and he exposed it. And then about 5 years later, I was on a small station in Quincy, Christian station. Yeah. I used to come on right after former Vatican ambassador Ray Flynn. And people said that I was more pro-Catholic than Flynn, but putting that aside.
You probably were.
I was. I called, this is during the pre-scandal, and the Globe was really crazy. But I called Jerry Williams. My producer happened to know his number. Yeah. And I asked him to come on my show. And I said, Jerry, I really missed you and I love you and I want to hear you again. And he did. He was not in good health. He came down. He was had an assistant. He was in a wheelchair. He was not. And he did my show. And then I convinced the manager to give him a show and give him some time, which he did. And he came back very briefly. I think he only did 5 weeks. He was great. And then after that, he passed away. Wow. But he was just one of the real founders of talk radio. He really was. When he started it in the 1950s, you couldn't bring a live person on the air with you. It was not allowed. So he would have to take the call off the air and then repeat what they said and respond to it. And but he was able to convince the station to let him have the live experience. And he was just a master. I mean, he defined what talk radio became. He was really a pioneer and a great communicator, just a great all-around person. Amazing man. Yeah, I really miss Jerry. A great man. Anyway.
All right, so I will switch off now.
Okay.
We are both looking forward to Monday.
You bet. It's going to be exciting. I am psyched. I am absolutely.
I've never seen you like this. This is the most positive I've ever seen you. And I know you for 25 years. So this is great.
I really feel like we finally have hit the finish line and we're getting there. I'm anticipating it in a good way. I mean, I anticipated the election in a bad way because I felt they were going to steal it. I know that Steve Turley said to me, I'm being too traumatized by what happened last time, he says to me. Right. I was very traumatized, but he did it, and now he's going to take his shot. He's going to take his position. Thank God.
So anyway, we will see you next week.
Yes. All right. Take care. Thanks, Mike. Okay. So I'm going to just mention that I'll be doing some live streaming on Inauguration Day. You can check out my books, are all available at Amazon Books. Just look it up, Charles Moscowitz, Moscowitz, Charles Moscowitz. Put it in the server at Amazon Books, and you'll see all of my books come up. They're a cross-section of issues, political, social, economic, religious. I've touched a lot of things in my books, so check it out. Thank you for watching, everyone. God bless America. God bless you. God bless President Trump and his family. God bless Vice President J.D. Vance and his family and all of the cabinet ministers. God bless them. God protect them. God keep them safe. And we have to continue to pray that everything goes according to plan, because ultimately the Lord our God, King of the universe, is the master of all events. Anyway, thank you for joining me, everyone.